Hi, I'm George Tracy, the Director of the Export Assistance Center in Atlanta, Georgia. Welcome to this 10th session of Export U about website design for the global marketplace. This session is broken into three parts, 10A, B, and C. In this particular session, 10C, we'll talk about international e-commerce from a high level and some of the things you'll want to keep in mind from an e-commerce perspective when dealing with customers in other countries. From a general perspective, there are really three types of e-commerce sites out there on the web. The most common type is an information delivery site, particularly from a business-to-business perspective. In the business-to-business world, deals are typically done via real-time interaction and not solely through the internet. For the most part, these are the kind of clients with which our organization is engaged, so most of the information in this section is specific to business-to-business types of companies. Another type of e-commerce site are e-marketplaces, such as this example, machinerytrader.com. They're market makers bringing buyers and sellers together, but don't typically enable the execution of a transaction online. These e-marketplaces are typically designed to connect businesses with other businesses as opposed to end users of their products, although there are some e-marketplaces that are designed to connect businesses with the final consumer. The third general type of e-commerce site are transactional sites like Target.com, seen here in this example. These kinds of sites enable full start-to-finish processing of an order, including payment with little or no need for interaction between the company and the customer. Transactional sites for international sales are not very common today, although in some cases it may make sense depending on your business model and global structure. We'll talk a little bit more about this in the following slides. There are many things a company can do to enhance their website to be more appealing for international customers. One very simple thing to do, at little or no cost, is to add a currency converter to your site. There are a number of different currency converter options out there. This is just one example, xe.com, that enables you to place their HTML code into your website, thus enabling a currency converter for your international customers' use. It's a simple thing, but it's one more convenience that both facilitates a potential sale and indicates that your company is both interested and sensitive to international customer needs. Since from an international sales perspective, most transactions are typically business to business and are often larger quantities and consequently higher total value sales, these deals ordinarily need to be negotiated between companies and their international customers. So the idea is to obtain as much information as possible via your web presence to facilitate the negotiation and overall transaction. One best practice is to use online detailed forms, an example of which is shown here. This enables the international buyer to provide a lot of detailed information up front, which then makes it easier for your company to evaluate the opportunity and more efficiently respond to the inquiry. In this example, one competitive advantage EPM offers is a response within 59 minutes of filling out this form. This is a nice touch because the potential customer is assured of a prompt response and is therefore more likely to fill out what can be a rather lengthy form. Your particular business needs, of course, will determine the approach you should take, but this is a great example of an online e-commerce capability that can make it easier for everybody involved in the transaction. Another approach that some companies are taking is the implementation of an online shopping cart, but without the final capability of processing payment. This enables a potential customer to fully build out an order, in some cases even including shipping costs depending on how it's set up, but then rather than completing the transaction at the end with the payment, the order is actually submitted to the company, at which point a sales associate can contact the customer and work out the final details to complete the sale. Companies that take this approach make it very obvious that the shopping cart will not enable the customer to make payment, but will create a quote from which a final deal can be reached. This is a great idea for international sales, since ordinarily you would not want to enable international customers to fully complete an order online. And keep in mind that very few international customers would even want to fully complete an order online without interacting with the sales associate at your company. For one thing, there are a number of variables in international transactions that need to be worked out on a per-transaction basis. For example, duties will vary and often change. So it's difficult to have an automated system online that can accurately handle that kind of aspect of an international sale. And the quantities and values of international sales, which as I mentioned are typically business to business, really necessitate a dialogue between a company and their international buyer. But this is another way your company can leverage the web to help facilitate the overall transaction.